Hi folks, my name is Tom Nash, and in this video I'll show you that making $1 million investing in the stock market in 2025 never been simpler. There's no catches, it's not clickbait, and you can put your wallet to the side because I don't need you to pay me nothing, click nothing, smash nothing, buy nothing, just listen. Everything in this video is going to be 100% for free. There is no paywall. Now look, I don't want you guys to think that when I say things are simple, which I have multiple times, it means they are easy. I can tell you that losing weight is simple. All you got to do is eat right, work out, and sleep right. You're going to lose weight. It is very, very simple. It doesn't mean it's easy. If you're looking for a way to get rich quick, I'm sorry to disappoint you. It's never going to happen. There ain't ever been a get-rich-quick scheme that worked. If you actually want to make generational wealth, if you want to make life-changing money, listen to me. The only caveat is you need to understand it ain't easy, and you need to understand it's not going to be quick. But it actually is foolproof, 100%. Warren Buffett said this. Everybody wants to get rich quick. Nobody is willing to get rich slow, even though that is guaranteed. And what I'm about to show in today's video, it is guaranteed. Now, look, anyone can do this. It is quite simple. Anyone. This is a method that have never, ever failed. Over the course of the past 100 years, this thing worked without exception. And most investors that you read about in the newspapers, on X, on CNN, can't believe I said newspapers. I mean, do they even exist anymore? But you get the drift. Most of these successful investors have done it the way I'm about to show you. I'm just going to show you the secret because mainstream media, financial publishing, they want you to do the opposite of what I'm about to tell you because that's how they sell subscriptions and that's how they get your attention. They create all this environment for you to fail. That is why 90% of retail, normal, everyday investors fail in the stock market, even though we all know the S&P 500 does 10% per year on average. Even though it's a cheat code, somehow only 10% of people make money. Why? Because they don't understand the simple, very simple principles I'm about to share with you right now. And there's more to it than just keep on buying. Listen to me. It's way deeper than this. Now look, we love when the market is green. We absolutely adore the market when it's green. Our time horizon for investing becomes infinite. We love how we operate in this market. We think we're better than Warren Buffett. We're ecstatic. But it's fake. It's not fake because the market is fake. It's fake because that's not how real money is made. People that have made generational wealth over the course of the past few decades have not done it during the hype cycle. The money is made way before. The hype cycle means you're already late. If you actually want to make money, you have to make the right moves before the hype cycle. The real money is being made in turbulent markets, in smelly, bad sentiment, blood on the street environment where nobody wants to be in the stock market. And I'm about to show you exactly how you can do this, no matter how much money you're making, whether you're making $50,000 a year, $500,000 a year, it doesn't matter. The principles are the same. The reason most investors, most retail investors, are not able to do this is because of emotional control. They can't withstand the panic. When you have a market that drops 10%, stocks that drop 30%, the pressure to sell becomes very, very tough. It's almost insurmountable to somebody who's not experienced, who doesn't have this, the blueprint I'm about to show you. Because the media starts pumping the fear, the friends and family, so-called friends, that don't understand what they're doing, start to tell you that you need to sell. You start to have own doubts about what you have done. And this panic causes you to make one of the worst mistakes, one of the worst possible mistakes you can make in the stock market, which is sell when it's the right time to buy. Everybody wants to get rich. Nobody understands this one simple principle. You don't want to be buying high, selling low. It has to be the other way around. You want to be buying low, selling high. Now let me show you an example. Now, I'm known in the community as the Palantir guy because I've been raving about Palantir for the past 5 years, even when the market was down. Back in 2022, when most investors were saying that Palantir is, it's a bad company, it's a bad investment, stay away. Tom, it fell all the way from $35 to $6. It's about to lose coverage. It's a horrible company. The CEO is selling stock and all that hoopla, right? So you could have waited, and you could have waited it out and waited for the stock to recover from $6 all the way to $24, $25 just a year ago. And let's say you actually done it and now you've bought Palantir a year ago in March of 2024. Well, you bought it at 25, it's currently at 85, you have made a nice profit, no doubt, you have 3x'd your money, wonderful. No complaints, obviously. But Think about the other situation, the one that I had, in which I was buying when nobody wanted to touch Palantir with a 10-foot pole back in March of 2022, just 2 years prior. Well, the price I was getting was $6 per share, $8 per share, $10 per share, $12 per share. And basically from that bottom, we're now up almost 15x. So which is better, 3x or 15x? I think we can all agree that 15x is better. And it's not just about Palantir. If you look at the S&P 500, the S&P 500 during the bull run, after it recovered from the nastiness of 2022, a year ago was at 5,200. It's currently at 5,600. Well, that's a 9.5%. That's not bad at all. Actually pretty good, right? But if you actually bought the S&P 500 in March of 2022, just 2 years prior, when nobody wanted to come close to it, well, you're up 60%. Which one is better, 9.5% or 60%? I think we can all agree that 60% is better. The same principle applies. People who were buying during the downturn are reaping the benefits when the market is in the hype cycle. And people who have bought it in the hype cycle are getting left with the crumbs, with the peanuts. And the same thing with even huge companies like Microsoft. Microsoft in March of 2024 was trading at $421 per share. It's currently, after the drop of the last few weeks, at $388. So you're basically minus 7% because you've invested at the peak of the hype cycle. On the other hand, if you're buying Microsoft in March of 2022, during the downturn, you're getting it at $290. Currently, $390 per share. That's a 33% upside. Which one is better, a negative 7% or plus 33%? I think we can all agree to the principle that buying good companies or the S&P 500 during the bad times when nobody wants to come close to the stock market is better than buying during the hype cycle. And look, I just gave you 3 examples. Palantir, a highly volatile growth stock, the S&P 500, the index, and even Microsoft, a pure blue chip, right? But the principle remains. Look at this. We can do this all day. I can pick 10 more, 20 more, 100 more stocks, and I can show you the same thing. A principle will never change. Buying good companies during bad times makes you money. And I understand the little voice in your head right now that's telling you, well, why don't we just wait it out a little bit? Let the dust settle, let the market stabilize. Once we see that the market has stabilized, then we'll start buying again. Let's just wait it out, see what happens, right? The problem with that, which is the same problem with everything that has to do with timing the stock market. Whether you're timing it a little bit or timing it a lot, you're still trying to do the impossible, which is guess where the stock market is going to go in the short term. The problem is that most retail investors don't understand that if they do that specific thing, they're going to crash their portfolios. I guarantee you that. Why? Well, because the best 10 days over the last 2 decades, the past 20 years, you're talking about 10 days. That's 1.3% of days over the past 20 years. They're responsible to more than half of your upside. If you've invested over the past 20 years and you actually participated in the best 10 days that you've seen over the past 20 years, your return is 550% on the S&P 500. If you missed out on the top 10 days out of the entire last 20 years, your return is slashed to 197%. Do you understand how insane that is? You miss out on 1.3% of days, your portfolio performance is slashed by more than half. I'm not even talking about what happens if you miss the top 40 days, which is about 5% of days over the past 2 decades. And in that case, your portfolio right now will be showing minus 19%. And the reason I don't look down on people for not knowing this is because they never hear about it on mainstream media, on financial publishing. It's not in their best interest to tell you these things. They want to sell you buy alerts, sell alerts. Now, if you understand the mathematics of what I just explained to you, you understand that 95% of the days in the stock market literally don't matter. If you miss out on the best 5% of days, you're down 19% over 20 years when the market has done 550%. Now, this is the craziest part about it. 7 out of the best 10 days over the past 20 years happened during a down market when nobody wanted to be near things that have anything to do with stocks. The bad times is where the best days hide. Now, do you want actual proof? I'll give it to you. There's a very good study by Market Sentiment that shows 3 types of investors: Charlie, Andy, and Dave. They all dollar cost average into the market, which means they already outperform the other retail investors that don't understand what they're doing. So that's really good. But in between themselves, they have a different style of dollar cost averaging into the market. Dollar cost averaging meaning investing a fixed amount over a long period of time. They all put $100 into the stock market, and they all behave differently when the market dips. They only invest in the S&P 500, no individual stocks, and they start investing in 2000, and they end investing today, 25 years. Now, Charlie basically says every time the stock market drops 10%, I'm going to hold on, stop investing, and I'm going to restart when the market recovers. Andy basically dollar cost averages, basically buys non-stop for the past 25 years. And then you have Dave. Dave is me. Dave is going to double down into the stock market the minute it dips 10% and lower, and is going to continue doubling down all the way to infinity as long as the market stays down, and the moment the market goes back up, he goes back to normal dollar cost average. Over the course of the last 25 years, Dave would have returned 442%. Andy, the average Andy, would have returned 385%. And cautious Charlie, the one that basically stopped investing, he would have returned 314%. Now, those are great returns over the past 25 years, no doubt. But Daring Dave, the double down DCA guy, outperformed the cautious Charlie by 40%. That is insane. That is wild. With just the S&P 500, no individual stocks. That's a lot of money. And that is because rebounds in the stock market can be very violent and unexpected. And missing out on those rebounds can cost you a lot of money in lost opportunity. And over the past 25 years, during the time that these guys made 440% to 314%, the market had a lot of reasons to sell. We had 4 major crashes, and still the market basically did 5x in 25 years. That's something you can't argue against. Time in the market is the best thing I can sell to you. That's the simple way to get rich. Now, it goes beyond that, because in real time, when you're during a downturn, it's very, very hard to apply the principles I just taught you. When the market is down and you're in the spin cycle of media, friends, and all the people who are pumping you with panic and fear, it's very, very tough. If you started buying in 2022, for 10 months, it felt like you were bleeding nonstop. Every day you look at your portfolio, it's worse. The other day, worse. 2 weeks later, worse. A month later, worse. 6 months later, worse. 9 months later, even worse. It took 10 months for the market to get to the bottom. And during those 10 months, it felt horrible for most investors. And then media and so-called friends and social media and all this stuff, they're pressuring you to sell. And that's why most retail investors lose money, because they sell at the worst time, negating the whole purpose of dollar cost averaging by selling at the bottom. And if you just held on in 2022 and kept on buying, just the S&P 500 gave you 60% over the course of 2023, 2024. Not talking about Palantir that went from 6 to 120, then back to 85. Not even talking about stocks, 60% just on the index in 2 years. So the bounces is where the money is made. But for that, you have to be in the market during the downturn. Now, there's a simple way that includes a few simple steps for you to make sure you're in the 10% that makes life-changing money from the stock market, not in the 90% that loses. Number one, you have to plan ahead, right? Think about it. You're going to combat. You have to have a strategy and a plan before the shooting starts. You cannot start planning once people are firing at you. You have to know exactly what you're going to do, how you're going to dollar cost average, where is your threshold, what you're going to do. You got to have a plan. Number two, you have to have an emergency fund for at least 6 months, because if you don't have that and then all of a sudden life happens and you need cash and stocks may be down, you might be forced to liquidate during a downturn and basically negate the whole purpose of a DCA. Number three, you have to dollar cost average non-stop into the stock market. And if you want to get ahead, you can also double down like I do during the bad times. And of course, you have to diversify your portfolio with the S&P 500. It's not enough to just buy 3 or 4 stocks that you love. You have to have the S&P 500 as an anchor to make sure that your portfolio stays balanced. And of course, focusing on fundamentals rather than headlines, and keeping a long-term mindset. And of course, blocking short-term noise. It doesn't mean you can't watch TV and you can't watch social media. You can. It's good to stay informed, but don't make informed into obsessed and into panic. And of course, you have to know who you are. You have to tell yourself, I'm an investor. I'm not a trader. For me, the long term is the game, not the short term drop, so I don't care. And of course, you have to give up on any sort of resemblance of timing the market. Stop thinking in terms of timing the market. Corrections, how deep, what should I do? Just think in the form of what is my threshold, how much money I got to deploy, and how do I DCA so I make sure in the next 5 to 10 to 15 years, I'm the guy everybody's talking about and not the guy who bought at the peak and sold at the bottom. And of course, learn history. And then you'll understand it's an odds game. A bear market on average lasts about 10 months in America. A bull market lasts about 5 years. And also the S&P 500 has a 100% recovery rate from all bear markets. So which odds do you want to place your chips on? But the most important principle is you cannot dollar cost average into bad companies, into bad stocks. None of this works if you are buying bad, trash companies. Dollar cost averaging into a horrible business, into a bad stock, is not going to do anything for you except blow up your portfolio. And that's the reason why my Academy members have made the results they've made over the past few years. And I can show you just an example of it on the screen right now. It's because they understand that specific principle. The dollar cost average part of it is easy. Finding the good companies to invest in, that's the hard part. And that's the part we teach in my Academy. Patreon.com/Tom Nash. We have 16,000 members. Would love to have you join us. Learn how to analyze companies, how to evaluate companies, how to read financials, how to find the hidden gems, how to find the good stocks you want to be dollar cost averaging, not the trash that everybody's hyping up. Thank you so much. I'll see you next one. Peace.